Hi everyone, my name is Dan Diefendorf. I'm the president of Live Tiles, which makes me the least qualified person to be talking about today's topic. But great to see you all. Thanks for being social and coming out, having a great productive Ignite. We're going to be talking about the solution to internet adoption today using Microsoft Teams. This is a very new space and there's a lot of moving parts, but we thought we'd give you some early insights into what we're seeing into the market and what we're doing. So for those of you that are in this world, can you just entertain me for 1 second? Raise your hand if you love your internet or your company's internet. That's about as expected. Okay, we're good. Has your organization deployed Microsoft Teams? All right, so a lot more of you. Okay, good. And one last one, crowd participation. Have you considered a Teams-based intranet? All right, so sort of in between the two. So this is a very dynamic space right now, toggling between what a traditional intranet is and a communication portal and a productivity portal and what we're seeing happen with the organic growth of Microsoft Teams. What I like to do is just kind of set the stage here. Live Tiles, whether you've heard of us or not, we've been 15 years in the making. Most of us have come from modern workplace backgrounds, largely from the formation of the SharePoint days, from early on-prem to the cloud, and now into the Microsoft Teams collaboration space. We're about a 4 or 5 year old company now. We're publicly traded, and we have over 1,000 clients globally situated between the US, Europe, and Asia Pacific. So we've got a lot of learnings around how targeted communications, contextualized experiences, and productivity happens in the workplace. And having the tools to be able to do that now are moving faster and faster each day with Microsoft 365 and what we're seeing with Microsoft Teams especially. So we do have a very unique perspective on this, and we just wanted to share and kind of get your feedback through this process. So I'm going to go through this pretty quick in terms of the 5 things, the 5 must-haves we think you've got to consider as you look at building an intranet or even considering an intranet with the foundation being Microsoft Teams. So let's start with familiar. Where do your people naturally work? Whether they go to SharePoint, whether they go to Microsoft Teams, whether they go to SAP, or they go to their CRM, whether they go to their manufacturing applications, whatever it might be, it's like water filling a crack, right? They're going to go to where they feel natural. And right now, the organic growth of Microsoft Teams and most of our clients has been just unprecedented. So the good part is, particularly our non-regulated clients, or not highly regulated clients, have seen Microsoft Teams grow really, really fast. We have one client, if I see any green beer cans, you may guess who they might be, but they have over 15,000 teams created in 4 months organically. And that's just amazing. So that's amazing growth, but in the same breath, it creates a massive challenge with how do you actually manage that issue. But the good news is it's driving adoption and people are actually using it. So what we're trying to do, Live Tiles really started as a user experience company. The tiles in the name actually was meant to create pre-configured tiles that can be drawing really good web pages in SharePoint, consumerized experiences, but now we're bringing that same thought into Microsoft Teams. So we want to make sure that there's that frictionless experience when you do log into Teams and you start seeing things that you wouldn't naturally see other than your files and who you're chatting with. We also have contextualized and personal user experience and collaboration. Now, contextualized is something that you're seeing a lot more of and probably hearing a lot more about the show. Some people think contextualized is personalized around your preferences, but it can also be intelligent, meaning it's knowing the things that you're working on. Targeted and omnipresent navigation. That's a fancy way of saying is that your navigation is going to stay with you, whether you're on your desktop, whether you're in a team, whether you're on a tablet, wherever you go. And having that navigation, and you can see some of it here, making sure that that is absolutely targeted at the services and the applications that you use on a daily basis. Most of us are very used to using the conference feature and the chat feature, but we're not used to just yet in Teams is getting prompted to do things. What are you supposed to read? What are you supposed to approve? What are you supposed to do next? What project has the highest priority? These are all things that you're going to start to see come out in terms of the user interface and the tools, particularly in the software that we happen to sell, to make this a better experience for your teams. And bot technology is something else that you'll probably hear a lot about. We also believe in digital AI assistants, which you'll hear a lot of at the show. But we also see a lot more proactive gathering of information from the bots themselves. And that could be user profile data, and that could be from multiple source systems. It could be to feed Active Directory, it could be to feed SAP, it could be feed Workday, it doesn't matter where it comes from. But proactive reaching out to users to get information about what they need to do their job, but also understanding contextually what their role is in the company and what they need to accomplish. Fast. You need to do this fast because the teams are going to grow. You're going to have more and more teams every single day, every moment, and you got to be able to make sure that you can govern what is being created. Now, governance is not a fun topic. It's something we feel the need we have to deal with. That's what we're sort of passionate about, part of this governance. But what we want to do is we make sure that we give you triggers and solutions to automate that governance. So you can deploy that in days, not months. And when you can start looking at what the things you need to do, create content, workflows, requests, process approvals, monitor and change owners, deal with orphans. I'm not sure if that's a technical term or not, but orphaned teams that really don't have any metadata attached to them, that may have multiple names that are very similar to other teams with similar attendees, with similar file names and types of documents. All those things can be gathered into one provisioning engine that can follow the rules so that when your users automatically get the power to create a team, they can actually do that with knowing they're not going to violate any company policy. Integrated. This one's pretty simple. We believe that the ecosystem is broad and wide, and that the users are caring less and less about what the particular brand of the data or information they're getting. But it's so important that you embrace the applications that your organization wants to put in front of your users. So we pre-built a lot of integrations from traditional ERPs to help desk ticket tools to learning management systems to make sure that you don't have to worry about doing that. If you want to deploy it to teams, you have those ready. Supported. So we use this term, future-proofing your workplace, which sounds a bit fancy, a little bit of marketing in there, right? But what we're really trying to do is we are passionate about making sure that when you make an investment, you don't feel like you're adding software and you're throwing more tech at your users. This is something that should complement investments that you've already made, and that the organization has a long vision for where we're going and where you're going with your organization's collaboration investments. So we do have a full management dashboard, not only off the governance platform that we have, but it's also making sure that you understand how teams are being used, how the content's shared, what people are doing to retire teams or use them, make sure they're following archival and exit rules. All those different things should be easily accessible so that as you're doing this, you're confidently keeping pace with your users. We do have a very strong global alignment with Microsoft, and I think that's important for any prospect to understand or any customer to understand as well. So we sit on a number of partner advisory councils. We follow Microsoft's engineering roadmap. We take our own public roadmap and we also publish it, and we also have an advisory board that we bring our strategic customers from around the globe to make sure that we're driving that forward and we're not just trying to guess what the need is, we're using all this information to build it. And we're probably one of the few organizations that publishes our R&D budget. We have an eight-figure R&D budget every year to make sure that we are staying in lockstep with Microsoft, and we're making sure that things are secure, things are supported, and that we can actually demonstrate a return on investment for what we call collaboration, productivity, all the things that probably have softer ROIs traditionally associated with them. We can now prove that out. And then the last bit, where we feel that we are not best suited to have something that we're going to build, we look to align with our partners and other Microsoft partners to ensure they do that. And one example of that today is actually secure and security around Microsoft Teams and securing collaboration within Microsoft Teams. So I've got on stage with me today Kurt Muffelman, who's the CEO of Nucleus Cyber, who's going to talk a little bit about the relationship between our organizations and also what it means to help securing Microsoft Teams. Kurt?
Great, thank you, Dan. So I got the old technology because my New England Patriots lost last night, so I know I was waiting for a few boos anyways, so we have to let somebody win once or twice. So when you start to look at Teams, right, you start to look at about secure collaboration. And about 90% of you had your hands up when you talked about, deploying Teams or enabling Teams across the enterprise. The big challenge out there today is what is Teams about sharing, right? And so you're sharing about ad hoc chat, you're sharing about different files, you're sharing about different aspects around, how do you communicate, right? How do you make it easier for someone to share files across the organization? And in today's environment, as an employee, as a consultant, as third party, you're not in your office anymore, right? You're in an airport, you're in a hotel, you're on another device, and so you have to start to look at where you go from a governance standpoint, compliance, and security. So we started looking at this and talking to the various MTCs around the world. Between our product management team and myself, we've done about 100,000 miles in the last 60 days, talking to over 100 different enterprise customers that are in the highly regulated vertical industries, so FinServ, pharma, life sciences, healthcare, and Fed government. And you start to look at kind of where you go with Teams, and we started to identify things that are a challenge for organizations that are out there today. So what happens in Teams? Again, it's about collaboration, but as an employee or as a consultant, you're trying to share this information that may contain personally identifiable information. So now we get into things such as GDPR, California Privacy Protection Act here in the US, Australian Privacy Protection Act. We start to talk about personal health information. So one of our customers is Blue Cross Blue Shield, which really is locking down what they can publish and share from a PHI perspective. But how do you identify that information? And so as you look to deploy Teams across the enterprise, you have to start to look at how, number one, do you identify that information? Two, how do you make sure that it's classified and locked down properly? But three, how do you protect it? How do you protect it from who has access to it, under what scenarios? How do you access it, and who gets to see it, whether you're in your office or you're in an unsecured network? So we start to get into a number of different areas. One of the areas that we look at very closely, we work with one of the top banks in the US, is all about these ethical walls or separation of duties, where we have registered reps that need to be completely separated from the rest of the business. And that may be also from, say, an advertising agency that we work with, where they actually handle both Coke and Pepsi accounts, and Coke cannot see what Pepsi's doing. So how do you separate those in teams? There needs to be some level of ethical divide, and so you need to go back into what the process is for determining that information. So what we also look at, again, is making sure your consultants are tied in properly, making sure that if a consultant downloads something to their laptop or down to their local device, that we have the ability to pull that information out when they leave or the engagement terminates. It's a big issue out there right now for a lot of third-party contractors, and when we were talking around the world, we heard that a lot of organizations are not deploying Teams or not allowing third-party contractors to have access to it. That limits collaboration, which is a very limiting factor, a way that you communicate across the organization. So when you start to look at it, we actually deploy right into Teams as a service, right within the template itself. And so when you load up a team from a provisioning standpoint, you can actually determine the level of security, and we'll give you a couple of templates where you can say, is this internal use only? Is this external? Are you going to have third-party people? So we make it very easy for the actual user creating the team to actually deploy how they're going to secure and protect their information. We also make sure that in chat, right? Chat, everybody thinks that chat is, the easy way out, but people chat whether it's inappropriate content, or they chat about inside secrets, or they chat about personal health information. How do you actually block that from going across and keeping that out of the Teams component of chat? So there's a lot of opportunity here for organizations to, again, be in trouble from, whether it's inside loss or accidental loss, or, we look at it also as the oh shit factor, right? Someone puts something up there by mistake. Everybody's done that. We've all put it into the wrong folder. We've put it into the wrong team. Same thing is happening whether you're in SharePoint or Teams. It's going to happen. So we make sure we can do that. And then lastly, what happens when a team actually expires? where does that go from a life cycle content standpoint? Can you take that content and actually pull it off? Can you pull that back from someone's laptop that's already downloaded it? How do you make sure that that content's fully protected? So we're looking at this across the entire organization in the way that we can actually secure your team and make teams a much easier way to provision from a security standpoint, make it more compliant, and make it more secure. So Dan, I'll turn it back to you.
Thanks, Kurt. Am I back on? Great. Yeah, let's go to the next one. So we'd like to open up for any questions the crowd might have. It's certainly up to you. You can come up with this later, but any quick questions in the crowd, or just handle it after the show? Great. So the way I would just close this with you guys is we address the balance between offering power to your end users and company governance standards. It's really where we sit. It's really where our passion is. And at the end of the day, that's where we spend most of our time working with our clients. So I'm going to stop here now. We're right here at booth 525. Conveniently situated, stage left, and would love to talk to you after, or would love for you to come by, see a demonstration of all of our products, and thank you so much. Appreciate it.